The goal really with this book is to help us understand how to own our attention again and take it back from everything else that's hijacking the foundation of what I think is being human.
You're listening to Be Well by Kelly Levesque. Dr. Zelana Montminy is a psychologist, author, and mental fitness expert and known for translating science into actionable tools for resilience, focus, and emotional well-being. She spent her career helping people reclaim their attention in an increasingly distracted world, while also raising 3 kids and leading in her community. From advocating for safer tech and stronger families to championing women's health and sustainability, Dr. Montminy brings both lived experience and deep expertise to the table. Her mission is simple: to make mental strength a daily practice, grounded, clear, and actually doable. Zelana, I cannot believe you're sitting across from me as an author. You have, we've known each other for at least
a long time.
2014.
I know.
Such a long time.
So crazy.
And you've been through so much. You've obviously had a big professional career and you had a family and you unfortunately went through the devastation of the Palisades fires this year. And so much of your cathartic poetry ended up being shared by some of the biggest media outlets in the world. And we saw firsthand that trauma and your resilience. And then on the heels of that, you're published Finding Focus. And it's all about finding that depth, that human connection, getting into depth and meaning over speed. And in today's society where everything is the next social media post and something fast and quick and it's gone and it doesn't feel like we're leaving behind a legacy. I felt like this book was just a breath of fresh air and came with just so much mission-driven purpose, and I could feel it on the pages. So thank you so much for writing it. Thank you for being here.
I'm so glad to be here.
I know. We have an excuse to sit across from one another, but I just want to really thank you for being here. And I know some of your story, but I want the world to know it too. So can we talk about your background, your professional background and what you do?
Yeah, I'm a doctor of psychology by training, a behavioral scientist. So I dig into what makes us function and how to do better, how to thrive. And I wrote a book about resilience several years ago, which was more of a 21-day plan on how to cultivate that skill set, because it's not something we're born with or without. It's something we have to practice. So I really wanted to put that out there. And then that was on the heels of my second baby being born. I think she was literally born a few months before that book came out. And then, now I'm a mom of 3. I have a teenager. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh. Ethan's 13, Ava just turned 11, and then I have a 5-year-old as well. So we're in the thick of it, kind of, and then sort of in these teenage years, which is really fascinating as a behavioral scientist to kind of live in and also, see things from both ends. And then the work I do, I was seeing so many people struggle. And a lot of what I do is I speak to different, organizations, companies. I do retreats. I work with all sorts of folks around the world. And we have so much access to things now, yet everyone feels so lonely and anxious and tired. Mm-hmm. Even, people who seemingly have it all are really disconnected and just really struggling. And so I wanted to dig deeper into why this is happening. And I kept coming back to the fact that this burnout we feel and this exhaustion is not from what we're doing. It's not work. It's not the fact that we have so many kids, even though that's easy to say why. Because it is. It's exhausting, of course. But what's really, really, if you peel that onion and the deepest core of it all, is that we are longing to get our focus back. We have completely lost touch. We are in an attention crisis. Yeah. And it is eroding the very foundation of what makes us human. And that is why we all, every single one of us, feels so disconnected from each other and ourselves. And that's really why I wrote this book. I think, one of the biggest misconceptions about focus is that it's about productivity and how can I do more. And this book is sort of the antithesis of that. You'll certainly probably do more, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the goal. The goal really with this book is to help us understand how to own our attention again and take it back from everything else that's hijacking the foundation of what I think is being human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What came out for me was it wasn't about doing more. It was about doing better.
Totally.
Like
optimizing.
And when I think about the successes I've had in my career, it was really resonated with me because it was in the quiet without like notifications from Instagram DMs and Slack notifications and emails. And like, you have all those, they joke about all the tabs that you have open, that like sort of mother load that we carry as moms and business owners to say like, this is so distracting and I feel so overwhelmed and discombobulated and anxious. And when I look at like, when did I make the biggest moves in my business that were purposeful and like made a difference? It was in the quiet.
Yeah.
Like it was in the quiet and the intention. And it's hard to get that.
It's really hard. It's obscene how much we have coming at us. And the companies know this. They know that how our brain functions. And, and it's not to blame any one specific corporation or whatever, but it's, other forces have certainly taken advantage of our neurobiology and the way our brain functions. And our brain is not meant to task switch in the way that we do. Like you mentioned all these, DMs. I mean, we are constantly task switching.
Yeah.
And every time we do that, it takes us about 20 more minutes to get back to whatever we're doing. Even though we feel like we're fine going back and forth, we're really not. Our brain just cannot. We are not biologically meant to do that from a neuroscience perspective. And so when you look at that, you realize how much we're leaving on the table and why we are just so utterly depleted and exhausted perpetually. And then we try to take breaks.
Yeah.
Right. And like log out, but really we're still consuming content. Right.
Yeah.
So we're triple screening, we're buying groceries, but also sitting next to our partner, but also binge watching Netflix at the same time. It's like, this is not restful. Right. So I think what you're referring to also is what I talk about in the book is we live in this in-between world constantly. We're juggling the physical world, which is hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have our digital world, which is really exhausting and hard to keep up with and often disorganized. And then we're just in between, right?
Yeah.
Juggling both. And it's just like, where even are we, right? So our relationships suffer and frankly, our relationship with ourselves.
Yeah. It's hard to know what is really important to you and what your purpose is when that task switching is happening. Because you just mentioned like ordering groceries while sitting on the couch while watching Netflix. Like, I can't tell you how many times I feel behind where I am on Amazon ordering groceries and then I'm getting like a DM that I need a voiceover for a reel that I did. And then I'm getting, then I have like a child in my kitchen going like, what's for dinner? And it's just like, it feels like you're like frenetic energy. It doesn't feel calm. It doesn't feel present. It doesn't feel peaceful. And I think I'm constantly searching for that. And I know that there are things that take away my like focus. I know obviously if I'm getting notifications, that's a huge problem. I had to delete certain apps that I feel like are very fun for me, like Zillow and Redfin. I'm not in the market for a new home, but I like
house porn. I love it. I know.
I'm like, ooh, look at this one.
Is
like,
pretty.
But it just was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And like Pinterest, I don't need to consume. I don't need to buy. I don't like, if I really need something, I don't even buy stuff well online. Like I can go into a store and pick something out.
But by the way, what you are doing is you're numbing out, which our brain needs in some capacity, and you're trying to get quick dopamine hits, which our brain does naturally. You're not intentionally doing this, of course.
Yeah.
But this is how our brain has sort of been trained to function. We get these quick hits. It feels very satisfying.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Zillow. Oh, and by the way,
you're like, it's on a cul-de-sac.
I wrote the book and I'm doing it too. I get it. Like it's really hard because this is how neurologically we are meant to be functioning. And so we've trained our brain with these quick dopamine hits. So that's how it has sort of evolved physiologically. And then it feels good, but it's not really sustained
Dopamine, good.
Right? And it's not
Okay.
like the long stretch dopamine that we really need to feel good. Like when we work hard, then we achieve something or do something. And then it's like, oh, that feels really good. So I'm training my brain to know that I need to keep working towards something. Right? So it's like I equate it to when a kid is practicing soccer and they have to practice and they're kicking and they're working on their dribbles and whatever. And then they finally get that goal.
Yeah.
That's the sustained dopamine.
Yeah.
So they feel that, they know what it takes to get there, and they know they need to keep motivated to keep going. Whereas these quick dopamine hits and the short form content that we're constantly consuming 24/7, quick dopamine, okay, feels good, tricks our brain into thinking that we can kind of numb out and be lazy and just like keep feeling good on the surface. But that's why we can't sustain the feel good. And it doesn't go deep. And we're just eroding ourselves, exhausted, depleted, burnt out. And what are our kids seeing?
We're distracted, not present, stressed out, easily like upset.
They're constantly competing with other versions of us and with disconnected versions of us.
Yeah.
And that, again, that's not to shame. Like, I don't want anyone listening to this to feel
everyone feels
like,
it. They're not
all in it. Like, just yesterday, my son was like, Mom, put your phone down. I'm talking to you, right? Like, because I had an urgent work email to attend to. And that's another part of the culture that we live in too. It's like, yes, we have flexibility. We can work from home because of our devices. But what is that flexibility really doing? Is that for the best?
At what cost?
At what cost?
Yeah, I know.
Because we're constantly now connected. We feel we have to respond.
Yeah.
But do we? Like, is someone else's emergency really ours? So where is the line, right? And that's really, I think, at the core of the crisis right now of our culture.
So you talk about focus thieves, and obviously, like I mentioned, Redfin and Zillow and Pinterest. Like, what are our true focus thieves, and how can we like start to cultivate like a very focused life and focused relationships more than anything? Like, I think it's one thing when I'm driving, listening to a podcast, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. I'm listening to something. I'm learning something. I love to learn. But I do genuinely hate if Chris is trying to talk to me and I'm looking down at my phone, or if Sebastian's like, Mom, put your phone away, you know, like, gosh. And I think because I recognize it as a problem, because I've had people like you on this podcast, or I've learned like what it feels like to be fully connected, it feels even worse.
Right. And so I think we have to dig deeper than just devices or this or that. I think really what is at the core of us reaching for distraction is needing a pacifier for discomfort. So we don't like to feel uncomfortable. We've been raised culturally to feel like discomfort is something we have to back away from, right? And it doesn't feel good to be uncomfortable. But often what creates good relationships, what creates the connections that you're talking about, what creates those feelings of presence and deep, just feeling good about things is getting through the discomfort, talking through things that aren't fun, but necessary, right? With your partner, for example. And so we avoid those conversations. We pick up our phone or we like scroll through stuff because it's so much easier to do that than to actually have this dead space between two people who are together yet utterly alone.
Yeah.
Right? And same with our kids. Like, it's hard to parent. Parenting is tough, right? It's so much easier to be distracted. And, you know, to hand them a device and call it a day, which, by the way, like, I'm not saying necessarily is a bad thing all the time, but so I think really it's about, you know, growing that muscle for discomfort and facing the things that we have to face in order to grow, and not using our devices, our schedules, our work as excuses to numb out.
Yeah. Talk to me about how people use, I mean, devices are easy. You're like, oh, I just pick it up.
Yeah,
I just put on a podcast. I just scroll. I just have.
Because how uncomfortable, by the way, is it to sit in silence? Like,
people
to just sit with, we're just not meant to do. Like, I saw someone at a cafe the other day, just without anything, no phone, no book, no podcast, no earpods. And I literally for a split second thought something was wrong. Like my brain just was like, whoa, what's that person doing? Are they okay?
Yeah.
But they were totally fine. They were just looking at the tree or whatever. I don't know. Right.
Yeah.
But that's what we're trained to believe. So I interrupted you, but anyway, continue on that path.
I think
it just brought to me like, because so often, and the earpod thing is wild right now.
Yeah.
Too. That's really changing our consciousness and our mental health.
Yeah.
And I talk a little bit about this in the book. There's a cool story about a client I had who finally took out his earpods and something pretty amazing happened that was like literally in front of him for years and he had never seen before. But you'll have to read the book to tell the story. It's a good one.
She's going to tease it, but I'm going to actually make her tell the story too.
But because we don't want to sit with our thoughts. There's a lot of sort of grief, these micro losses. And it doesn't have to be big things, people, like jobs, whatever, but it can be little things that we just push away because we don't want to feel it.
Right. And that uncomfortable silence, that not wanting to feel, like, how can people, first of all, get rid of sort of those focus thieves?
Right.
And you mentioned devices, schedules and work.
Ones. Yes.
So
being a yes person.
Yeah. What I was saying is that the devices make perfect sense because that's really easy. You're picking it up, you're using it. Right. It's connected to anything and everything. You can totally be entertained, right? Or numb out. How do people use schedules and work as focus thieves?
Well, in a very big way. I mean, how many times, even me included, have I said, oh, I'm so busy, like I can't, my schedule's just so hectic. Oh. No, I can't meet up with you. Or have said yes to so many things that I know is going to be depleting, but keeps me busy, keeps me away from, the things that I really do need to focus on, but I've been avoiding because it's uncomfortable. Like if you're really honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's often, people say they want peace and quiet and comfort, but that also requires confronting things.
Yeah.
Right? In that silence and in the pause. And so I'm a big advocate of pauses, but I also want to make sure that people can find these things. You can find focus and your attention back even within the context of busy schedules.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you just have to plug out and completely turn off everything. Like that's totally unrealistic, right?
Right.
So it's about understanding, and I talk a lot about this in the book, what are your patterns? What do you reach for when something gets uncomfortable? Or, what's your go-to, is whether it's a device or if you tend to say yes to all these school functions, but also are working full-time and also have 3 kids, like what is that really about?
Yeah.
Is it really because you want to be present and volunteering with the school, or is it a bit deeper than that?
Yeah.
Because are you actually present with what you're doing?
Yeah. It is really interesting to think about like filling your schedule and not being able to say no. I feel like for a long time, being busy in the early part of my career was filling a void of like maybe imposter syndrome, not thinking I was good enough, not thinking I was worthy of like some of the clients I was working with, or like, and as an entrepreneur, it's like if you're not seeing clients and you're filling that space with like saying yes to invitations for events or going to these things, you're like, oh, I'm really busy. I'm really successful. I'm really like worth this, versus just like sitting with the uncomfortable reality that maybe in the beginning of my career, I had 1 client a day or less.
Yeah.
And like just getting real with like that being my reality at that moment and not needing to be where someone else was maybe 8 or 10 years ahead of me and thinking like, I need to be exactly where that person is at that exact moment.
Right. And also like how much of our life is performative or really just like what we need to be doing or should be doing in that moment or attending to. I feel like, we're in the wellness space in different ways, but similar, and so I do feel like so much of the wellness culture is performative too. It's like I had someone, I teach at UCLA once in a while, and some of the grad students came up to me after and were so overwhelmed by everything on their to-do list that had to do with wellness. They just like had no idea where to even begin. Like, I don't know whether to red light or mask or green juice or sauna or this or that. They were just absolutely exhausted by the idea of everything they had to do, that they were frozen. They couldn't do one thing. right? And so I do feel like a lot of the hacks, and yes, a lot of the things matter, but it has to all be within the context of what works for you and doesn't feel like you're just performing wellness or health, right? And so I think there's a big piece there as well that people aren't as like accustomed to thinking about.
My new amino acid supplements come in flavorless and lemon water, and they're flying off the shelves, and here's why. I have meticulously sourced these vegan fermented essential amino acids from Japan. I am so proud of this being made the Be Well way, with maximum quality and minimum ingredients. My flavorless is simply those vegan fermented essential amino acids from Japan. Our lemon water contains minimal ingredients of only organic lemon powder, organic citric acid, and organic monk fruit. No natural flavors, no artificial flavors, no artificial sweeteners, no emulsifiers, no additives. This is simply that nutrition targeted for your goals. If you want to give my Be Well protein or aminos a try, or restock it if you're already loving it, take advantage of my gift for podcast listeners. Code podcast10 is going to get you $10 off just for being a listener. Write it down and shop with me after you listen. Yeah, I would say, I mean, in the context of like saying no and having boundaries and not just filling my schedule to feel like I'm filling up my ego or something.
Right.
I would say like my biggest wellness hack is saying no.
Yes.
Like, and I don't think I really flexed that muscle until I had children.
Yep.
Because then your heart is torn in like two different places and you're like, no, I'm not just going to say yes to all these like things or events, or like I really like it really takes so much work to say like no, like I'm going to be home and like make dinner and be with my family. I'm not going to take that I'm not going to travel for work, or I'm not going to work on weekends. And it still gets to me. Like Gabby Reese is throwing an event in the early next year and like a reset and all these women. And I was like, yes, I would love to help you. Like, let me know how. And her like producer sent it to me and it was like over a weekend. And I coach soccer. I coach like ASO soccer. That's and I'm like, I think earlier in my motherhood journey would have been like, okay, we can swing it. I can make it work. And the reality is it's like, I'm going to be there and love what I'm doing, but I'm going to feel like really like I've abandoned myself and like what's most important to me in that moment. And still be like, okay, I'm going to mourn a little bit that I'm like not going to that, and just trust the timing, trust that like it will like come back around.
So, but you're able to do that because you've focused in on what your purpose is, what your priorities are, what your intentions are, and to be very, very protective of your space and your time. And I think that's something I talk about in the book too, is like how do we get to focus is by doing that work and kind of figuring out what our edges are too, right? Like what do we want to protect?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's beautiful. That's hard. That's sort of as moms too. And as parents, like we do deal with that a lot, but in a way, whether it's a huge loss or like the fire that we just went through and or parenting, it clarifies, it takes, but it also clarifies a lot. And things get very sort of you zone in on what you need to be doing, which is helpful.
I'm curious then, like for you, obviously this was like a massive devastation for your community.
Right.
And so many of our mutual friends and families that, I mean, to live in Pali is to know Pali. Like it was an absolute unicorn of a place in Los Angeles, and had Chris and I stayed, like we would have been there. Like our brother and sister-in-law were there for so long. You had your 4th of July celebrate. It was small town vibes in a big city. Yeah. And it was really a devastation when you think about rebuilding your life after it and like the clarity that came for you. Like what's come out of that for you as like the most important things that you think make for like a meaningful life with your partner and your family? And
I mean, that's a great question. I think that grief strips away everything, and then you're in survival mode for a long while, and then there's this persistent ache, but you have to keep going too, right? Especially if you have children or whatever it is. And so I think grief in whatever capacity provides clarity because you just don't have an option.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit there and think about pleasing others or doing this or saying yes to that. I mean, I literally had to say no to, I was at no capacity to do anything. I pushed my book launch because of it too.
Yeah.
Like I knew that I just mentally, physically, emotionally did not have the capacity for anything other than to put one foot in front of the other and keep going and try to figure it out along the way. And so I think, I wrote the book before the fire, but the tools within the book and the way in which I wrote the book became that much more beneficial and helpful to me and really helped me see focus as something where we need to zone in on our purpose. We need to find clarity. And that's, one of the ways I think for me, when we think about sort of reviving, rebuilding, you become very intentional about what you put into your life when you've lost things, people, communities, schools, et cetera. So that's part of the silver lining is you get to choose what comes in versus figuring out how to, give away, let go, da-da-da-da-da. And so you get to choose who you surround yourself with too. That was a really fascinating thing when you go through loss in that way too, is like who comes out of the woodwork, who doesn't, right? And so relationships shift too. So you get to be very conscious about what you let back in and what you choose moving forward. And I think that's actually at the core of every focus journey and regaining our attention is being very intentional about what you choose to do, who you choose to see, who you communicate with, and how you allocate time.
I mean, when you think about focus, I do think about a calendar. I think about block scheduling. I think about, because I feel like focus is so fractured. When we do focus and we do feel really, really present, I feel like, at least for me personally, I feel like super mom, superwoman.
Yes.
And I have tools that help me do that, like the Arrow box. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's like a box that has chargers in it, and you plug your phone in when it's in our mudroom.
Totally.
I plug my phone in.
That's great.
And then it knows when it's in there. So I can come back to it and it's like, what did you do with your time away from your device?
That's cool.
And you're like, swimming in the pool, surfing, playing board games, whatever I was doing, or cooking dinner. And it gamifies it for the dopamine effect, I'm sure. But it like does feel, I don't know, you're just like, oh yeah, I'm not a distracted, stressed out entrepreneur. I'm a present mom who's intentional. Like, how can people become intentional around their schedules so that they can have really good focus? Because you mentioned earlier, even if you have a really big, crazy career, like you can find the focus moments.
Yeah, it comes down to being in the moment that you're in, whatever you're choosing to do with it. It really is that simple and that complicated.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about this like esoteric like presence and just being really yes, it is presence, but being intentional about what you take on, and then when you're actually in it, be in it.
Yeah.
Right? I think you were talking about the focus thieves.
Yeah.
One of the biggest culprits is multitasking.
Yeah.
And we wear it as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Like, I'm such a good multitasker and I'm an entrepreneur because I'm a multitasker and I'm a mom. So of course I'm a multitasker because we have to do multiple things at once, obviously, to survive.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. And
yeah.
We lose so much of our productivity and effectiveness when we're multitasking. Our brain just can't. So if you think you're great at it.
No, I don't.
Yeah, no, not you, but like the general you. Because I know you're like, yeah. I used to think I was great at it. Like I could do multiple things at once and I'm good. You're just not. You just truly cannot. And so I think, really choosing what you're in and doing that, even if you task switch quickly, is fine, but be in that one moment of whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're holding your phone looking at a recipe and your kid is talking to you at the same time and you also have to check an email, make a choice.
Yeah.
Make a choice. Like I'm looking at a recipe, hold, what you have to say is important. Give me 1 second. Yep, putting that in. Okay, let me put my phone down. Let me listen to you. Great. Okay, work. Hold that thought. Get to work. Like articulate what you're doing initially, just to give your brain that moment of like, I'm resetting.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes for kids, that can be really effective to know that it's not just that they're not interesting to you.
Yeah.
So articulating the fact that you're trying to be present, but that you also have other things to attend to, and talking through how to do that, because before you know it, their time will come when they're also going to have to make those choices.
Yeah.
And so, as you know, and people ask me this all the time, the best way to parent through this is to model.
Yeah.
It's not what you say, it's what you do. We know this. So that's kind of one of the ways, is to be really in it in that moment.
It's funny because it takes me back to when Sebastian was little and I was in baby group on 2nd Street, and they were like, narrate everything.
Yeah.
I'd be like, we're walking to the car to go to baby group. I'm putting my diaper bag in the front seat. It has your snacks.
And it makes you feel crazy.
And it does. It makes you feel crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, like, I'm just visualizing, you know, myself in the kitchen in this exact scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, it would be so easy for me to be like, I'm double checking this recipe because I just put the chicken in. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not messing up dinner. What's up, buddy?
Right, totally. And again, it doesn't have to make you feel crazy. Like, I'm not talking about narrating everything, but sometimes when you're in the thick of those moments, especially if you're a parent, your kid doesn't know how to read your mind.
Yeah.
Especially at a young age. They don't know that you're, task switching and you have urgent things and this and this. So articulating it for them gives them the space to know that they're also important. Yeah, it's not them, because they do grow up in a very different attachment phase to us. Even if we spend time with them, like there's research, like it's not the amount of time at all that we spend with our kids up until teenage years. And interestingly, after teenage years, the amount of time does matter. But before that, it has nothing to do with the amount of time, but it's the quality of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like making those moments really count and putting everything down to be present. And it doesn't have to be, getting on the ground and playing their game necessarily. They can also just fold into your life.
Yeah.
But being in it with them is important.
Yeah.
So they're not seeing all the task switching and normalizing it.
Right. Because the distraction doesn't feel good for anybody.
And they don't see you late at night, spinning your brain, exhausted, anxious, overworked, falling apart, snapping at your partner, whatever it is, right? Because they don't see like that, the behind the scenes. They just see you constantly task switching, and they're like, wait, okay, this is how to live. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll do it too.
I am so excited to share with you guys an incredible scientific breakthrough to support our long-term health and wellness. Meet Fatty 15, powered by C15, the world's first essential fatty acid discovered in over 90 years. Scientists are calling it the longevity nutrient, and for good reason. Fatty 15 was founded by Dr. Stephanie Van Watson, who uncovered C15 while studying aging dolphins. Her research revealed something incredible. C15 works by strengthening our cells, improving our mitochondrial function, and protecting us against damaging free radicals. The result? Better long-term metabolic, liver, and heart health. Fatty 15 is powered by pure vegan-friendly form of C15 and an odd-chain saturated fatty acid that's more stable than most polyunsaturated fats. That means it resists oxidation, staying potent in the bottle and in your body. It turns out that many of us are deficient in C15, which results in weaker cells that make less energy and quit working earlier than they should. All of that makes us age faster, sleep poorly, and feel sluggish. But by replenishing our cells with that essential C15 nutrient, the only ingredient in Fatty 15 effectively repairs our cells and restores our long-term health. Plus, it comes with a gorgeous reusable glass jar and refill capsules shipped quarterly right to your door. Fatty 15 is on a mission to replenish your C15 levels and restore your long-term health. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/Kelly15 and using the code Kelly15 at checkout. I'm definitely like a task-oriented person, and Chris and I have talked about it multiple times because he like always writes a list. He has like a paper
So does my husband.
journal, and he wants to like write it down physically. And I'll be like, okay, we need water bottles for school this year.
Yeah.
And like, we'll be having a conversation, like a check-in meeting about like what's on they're like 20 minutes, but it'll be like, what's happening this week? we have, this sports game or that practice. We have this birthday party. I have this work event, so I'm not going to be able to do pick up and drop off.
Yep.
Like we do a full mini meeting, like at least once a week to kind of talk about the plan and the schedule. And if something comes up for me that can be actioned really quickly, I have this knee-jerk reaction to open my phone, go to Yeti, be like, oh, easy. We'll put Levesque on those. Yep. That'll be Sebastian's favorite. Perfect. I'll just double check and ask him. And he's like, stay at the table. I'm not asking you to do it right now. And I'm like, but it's already giving me like anxiety that I'm going to forget that I'm not. And I'm like, don't consider myself. I've like never labeled myself or identified as being an anxious person. And like, the more I talk on this podcast, the more I'm like, oh yeah, parenting has made me like super crazy.
Yeah, because there's just so much to do. You're literally describing my interactions with my husband too. Same exact. He has this list. He's looking at me like, why are you doing this right now? You're pulled away from what we're actually talking about. But I'm like, I could get it done. It's done. It's done.
Yeah,
less things for me to do because we're trying to multitask. We're trying to do it all. We're trying to get things off our list. We're trying, and it also is a quick dopamine hit. Don't forget.
There you go.
Right?
Okay.
So we're kind of like, oh, done. Good. That feels good. Clink. But yet our partner is left thinking that A, he's not important. B, we're not attuned.
Yeah.
C, they're now anxious that we're going to forget something because we missed what he just said because we were task switching, even though we think we heard it, but we didn't really.
Yeah.
And then he has to follow up. So there's mental labor there. So there's a break in the relationship without you even intending it to be, right?
Right. Because you're just distracted.
Yeah.
So what, like from the focus plan for someone who is like that, or like when you're doing these, when things are bubbling up for you, like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that.
Yeah.
If I had some, like, I guess his physical paper list works, but if I had some place to like
dump
and not forget and not.
That's it. So that's it. The dump.
Yeah.
Have a place to dump.
Okay.
Whether it's a quick written thing or even, I'm going to say it on your phone. It's fine because we always have it with us.
I have the notes app.
Yeah. Just dump. Voice note it. Dump.
Yeah.
Once a week, twice a week, have check-ins with your dump.
Yeah.
Where you go through the dump list.
Yep.
And you figure out and you block, time block when you're going to do it. And you can time block like dump time.
Yeah.
Right. And that's when you actually go in and get some of those little tasks done. And I'm to blame too. It's like it infiltrates, it's intertwined within my whole day, these little tiny tasks that I try to just get done.
Yeah.
But that take away from the things that actually strengthen relationships and that give us, let us come back to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. So like when I think I'm just getting stuff done and being more efficient at night because I bought the kids this, that, and that for school, but my husband's sitting next to me kind of wondering where I am and what's happening, it's a real issue.
Yeah.
So trying to find those dump times. And then also, yes, fan of time blocking. It's going to be really hard for us to sustain focus for long periods of time at first. This is going to feel tricky because we're just not trained to do that.
Okay.
So we have to retrain our brain to crave attention and focus and realize how good it feels because that's how we're meant to be. And so you start small. Like if you're really distracted constantly, start with 5 minutes. Like that's hard for people. I know it sounds crazy, but 5 minutes of sustained attention is hard.
Yeah.
You'll be shocked. I actually shocked
it's
myself.
Not a 30-second video reel.
No,
people,
right?
It makes
like
you feel
5 minutes feels like an eternity.
Okay.
I mean, how many times are we on Zooms where we're having intense conversations with people and they're scrolling while you're talking?
I know.
It's like, right?
If it can't be an email, it's not for me.
Right.
I want in-person conversations, no Zooms.
Right. So your time blocks, like start small, but start always with the priority list, not based on necessarily, like it has to be urgent and important. And I talk about this in the book about how to figure that out. And then work back from that priorities list to time block efficiently for yourself. Like if you know that you're someone who just goes back and forth, start with 5, then work up to 10, and then take 5-minute break. But the break doesn't mean scrolling through YouTube.
Yeah.
That's not a break.
No.
Right? So we also have to learn how to effectively rest and break. And that means maybe going outside for a minute and taking a breath, or looking at a tree just to give your eyes some space, like from the screen, whatever it is. But really letting your brain rest to reboot.
when you look at your schedule and how you block it out, like how are you blocking your focus times and when are they in the day? When do you like, do you block per day based on like tasks? Do you block in like sort of like time order of the day, like most important early or later? Like, and like, what are your favorite ways to rest?
So my days look different every day. I don't have a lot of consistency, especially during the summers versus school year. So when my kids are all in school, it looks very different than when they're not, obviously. And so let's just say when they're in school, I try to have some time in nature or physical something in the mornings because that's just when I can, and it's easy and it feels good to me. And then I'll do the bulk of my focus work sort of in mid-morning, early afternoon.
Okay.
After that, there's just no way it's going to ever get done because, the rush starts, things come up. It's just a lot. It was always traditionally very hard for me personally to assess urgency because I have a strong need to help others to get things done. Like my productivity was always tied to how good I felt about myself. And so I've spent a lot of time working through that and, realizing that it's not what I get done that defines my worth.
Yeah.
And how much of it and how quickly I do it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's something, that a lot of us can work on. So I really try, every day I have to figure it out. And as parents, things do come up all the time.
Yeah.
And then I sort of have learned to just laugh. I'm like, okay, this is like, of course, like everything hits like the day I need the most focus time or whatever it is, or I have like a big event or a meeting or whatever. But also, realizing that life ebbs and flows and we have to be in the seasons we're in. We have to be realistic with what we can and can't do.
Yeah.
Right. And so I kind of work my time around that. And then in the afternoons when I'm a chauffeur driving all around town and all the things. And I do have help, thankfully. I've had to realize that I have to ask for help. I have to hire help. But I am very present in their lives. But I think that we all have to think about cost benefit. Like if you do need help sometimes just to be able to get your time or to get focus time or to go for a walk, even if it's away from your children.
Yeah.
It's not taking away from them. It's just creating a better version of you to help them and to be present with them and to be present in your life. So I think that's also a conversation that needs to happen with yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's
right.
I know that like, and vocalize that that's like my personal struggle based on my upbringing.
Yeah.
And I think like when and how my mom and mother-in-law were raised and like
to do
to do it all and to be fully stay-at-home moms and like dinner on the table every night, like picked up and dropped off, never missed a soccer game. But like I also wonder, and I like need to have like a more candid conversation with my mom about it of like, do you feel like you lost yourself at all? Do you feel like you had personal time? Do you feel like you were resentful, Because I don't also want that. Like, and I think the quality piece over the quantity is sort of a lifeline for me in the same way that learning from like some of the best children's psychologists and people I've had on the show is like repair is the best thing that you could ever do. And like flexing that repair muscle all the time. If you're like, wow, that was like not the way I would have wanted to handle that. Like, hey buddy, I'm so sorry. Like mommy got upset or it was like I was distracted or I wish I would have said this or done that differently, like that quality piece. And that was the impetus of getting that stupid box. Because I was just like,
you don't need that box, but it's great.
I don't need the box.
Cute.
I mean,
really
it could literally be a drawer.
I think it's great.
But
I think it's fun. It's
fun. I don't always use it. Like, but I was used to plug my phone in the kitchen, and like then I'd be cooking dinner in the kitchen. Someone would want a water, and they'd want a snack, and I'd walk by it, and I'd look. Oh, I have like. I mean, the other night I got home from like a long work day, and it's the first week of school. Their emotions are high. Like they're
tired. Yeah,
they're so tired, and I put like my purse in our like closet in our room, and then I came back like was like 29 notification, like text messages from friends and emails. And I'm just like, that's overwhelming too. Cause you're just like,
so hard. It's so hard. And then it's like, how do you sustain friendships even? It's like the constant texting. You don't really call each other anymore because it's just too busy, right? So then it's like, what is it? Okay, we send each other memes and it's great, right? Or DM each other, whatever. And yes, that's sustained connection. But where is the depth?
It doesn't feel as good.
No, it doesn't feel good. And I do want to say, I want to bring it back to the modeling and the repair that you're talking about and what our parents felt versus us, et cetera. I do have to say that all the research I've read and all the folks that I work with and all the things I've seen and all the actual older adults that I've talked to who remember their childhoods, and it all comes back to the ones that are thriving, that are really content, not just successful, but truly content, had families and parents that showed them how to live versus just talk through it or just spent time revolving around them and their activities. And it might sound counterintuitive, but it brings me back to someone I worked with before. And I've talked about this one before, but there was really nothing that was linking his current state to anything in his childhood. And I kept trying to peel it back and wonder, there's a lot going on here. He's really sad. He's not finding his way. He's had an incredible education. He's a super smart kid. He's very good looking. He's lonely. He's sad. He's just not functional. He went to an incredible university, graduated, could not find anything interesting, exciting, passion. It just flailing. And he broke down one time at the very end, and I'm okay talking about this. He broke down and he said, my parents did everything for me. And I wish that they would have actually done things for themselves so I could have seen what it's like to live a life of purpose and joy for yourself and together versus just focusing on me, 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 me.
Yeah.
Because then now I don't really know how to do it.
Yeah.
And that literally brought me to the world stopped turning because that was such a big moment. And everything I see in the research points to very similar things.
Yeah.
So whenever we feel shame that we're not doing enough or with them enough or driving them enough or going to enough games, I always try to come back to that I am living a life that I want them to see.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that fills my cup too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important for them.
Right.
Right?
It also gives them the freedom to know that the life they're living isn't only to make you happy.
Exactly. There's so much pressure with that.
Mm-hmm.
They feel too much pressure by trying to make their parents feel a certain way, obviously. But so many parents live vicariously through their kids that our kids are now really struggling with that.
Yeah.
Because it's totally not their responsibility.
Right.
Right? And ultimately, ideally, we let go.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Is we let them free. They do their thing. They find their way. They find their purpose. But we've held on so hard. And that we come back to the focus piece.
Yeah.
Right? By doing all these things, by multitasking, by constantly task switching, by our attention being so hijacked, what is it all for? What's it all really about?
Yeah.
Right? So really editing and being intentional about the choices you make and the purpose behind those choices is really important.
Yeah. I feel like for my business and just over the years, it the overwhelm of all of the different connection outlets, whether I was joking Slack, Google, Gmail, text, DM, whatever it is, plus adding on top of that, someone saying hey, will you write this article for our news outlet? Or will you do this? Will you write this or do that? And then getting random emails from other companies and then from clients and then the products. I have gotten to a place where I am so high level where I'm I want these 3 things to happen in a year. And I'm very realistic.
That's great.
I think now more than ever. And if I don't post on social media for 4 days, I don't think my business is going to fall apart like I did prior. And that's been a real relief.
Totally.
Because I just have had to just trust the system a little bit more. And that does bring me more joy in doing and creating, even when it's unfortunately like short little snippets. The big things I think about in the business are like mission driven, larger marks that I feel like I'm thinking about my grandkids when I think about it, you know?
That's amazing. And so you're less reactive,
Yeah.
right? And the reactivity of our lives is also what's exhausting us. And that also is eroding our attention significantly.
Yeah.
So instead of being really responsive and intentional about our choices and our time, we're just sort of reactive. We respond to all the DMs and the things and the opportunities. Like I feel similarly, right? There's so much I feel like I'm not doing or getting to that I could be.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's really about highlighting the priorities and the purpose behind what you're doing and knowing what you're leaving on the table and that, ultimately it's worth it, right?
So when it comes to the biggest distractor, like your phone,
right?
You're a mom, your kids are everywhere, you're getting text messages. Like you can't be on airplane mode all day if your kids are at school.
No.
And you have your job.
No.
Even though that would be, great. Like, do you block out even that stuff, like email and responding to people via text and like doing that dump list?
That's still in process for me. I'm still working through that. It's disorienting to be without a device and without connection when my kids aren't with me.
Yeah.
For me, because emergencies come up, right? And things come up all the time. So even that erodes attention a little bit, right? Because you know that there's something waiting their way, whatever. But I think, I do have my dump time. I do try to stay very diligent about that. But I think also part of this process is to gift yourself grace.
Yeah.
Like we're all a work in progress. We're all trying to figure this out in different ways. And there's all sorts of ways that we're communicating. For me, for example, WhatsApp was debilitatingly exhausting for me. I'm on probably like 40 different groups, especially after the fire, which is amazing in terms of community building, building back this, that, and the other. But it's also, if I step away for a minute, there's hundreds of messages.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like,
it's
plus
a full-time
I've got like
job.
the school group chats, that, every Girl
chats.
Scouts, like this, and not to mention the sports teams. That's like a whole other, like the club, So you just cannot keep up. So I've had to gift myself grace in just not looking at WhatsApp for the day. And do people sometimes get upset? Maybe, yeah. Like my sister lives in Europe, and so we have a time difference and we WhatsApp.
Yeah.
But there's times where I literally I've trained myself not to look at WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And she says, "Did you get my message?" "Oh, sorry, I didn't even look." Right? So it's about just finding your edges on what is, and again, editing, like what is the most distracting thing to you?
Mm-hmm.
And then peeling back those layers, finding ways to not go there, to give yourself those pauses and those breaks from whatever is distracting you.
Yeah.
Yes, turning off notifications. But for example, they say put your phone on black and white to be less interesting to you. I did that for 1 second, but I could not.
Yeah.
Like I need color. This is not pretty enough for me. I can't do it. So I made a conscious choice to keep my phone in color.
Yeah.
Is it against advice? Yes.
Yeah.
But am I aware about? Yes, I'm aware. And I truly have trained myself, even if it is in color, it's fine. Like I'm not going to look at it more or less. It's just, I have my ways of kind of managing my apps and whatever it is I do. So.
Yeah, I'm the person who will just go through and straight delete apps.
Yeah.
And I will say like, this is a daylight, which is like a black and it's like a Kindle, but it works. You can like
That's
write,
great.
you can use all like the Google, like Word, like sheets, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm like in the midst of writing my third book and like, I can only like really do it on this with the keyboard because if I am on my like MacBook or my phone or I'm
things
like, I like have to silence the noise. It like just doesn't work. And I'm just realizing that focus is just so much harder than it ever was before. And I hold myself to this standard where I think about like a pretty idyllic childhood with my mom, but she also was in a kitchen making homemade Play-Doh with only like one of those phones with the long cords in the kitchen.
Which I'm buying, by the way, for my daughter.
Oh.
Just like the straight up landlines.
Yeah.
They're bringing it back now.
Yeah.
And it's
actually,
trending.
I just pre-ordered the tin cans.
Right? That's what I'm doing too.
Yeah.
I know.
They're so cute.
I know they didn't pay me to say that. But
yeah, I know. Tin can. We love what you're doing.
No, but it's great. And I think, I think people are finally starting to wake up a little bit about this. And this is what I'm really trying to do too with the book, is really change the conversation and the whole narrative culturally about this.
Yeah.
We really owe it to ourselves and our children and other generations to bring back our focus and attention. We've completely lost touch.
Yeah.
And we've let it go. And it's exhausting. It's really exhausting.
And I think in the quiet is where we see what our potential is and what our ability to like leave the world a better place than, we came into it as, or like at least just leave a mark and make a difference.
Yeah.
So now I want you to tell the story about the earpods.
Well, okay. Just for you, but I think it's better in the book. But yeah, no, he basically was walking by the same girl 3 years on that street corner. And we worked together with like what would happen if you put your phone away and didn't listen to a podcast or something while you were walking to work.
Yeah.
And that was really uncomfortable and hard. And he finally decided one day he would, and looked up and was like, "Oh, hi." She's like, "Hi." He's like, "Oh, where are you going?" She's like, "You know me. We've like stood here for years." But he had literally never noticed or talked to her ever. Now they're married with kids, big love story. But like, had he not put his phone away or his earpods, never would have seen her.
Yeah.
And so how many things, how many people, how many ideas, events, thoughts do we miss because we're just not there? Mm-hmm. We're going through our life not really in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that at the core is really what the book is about. And I hope to bring back to people is just being in it. Even when it's hectic, even when it's hard, even when, right?
Right.
Because that's what it means to be human.
Mm-hmm.
And to really live. I mean, you don't want to wake up in 20 years and wonder what the heck just happened. What did we just go through? Like my son just entered middle school. I now have a teenager. And there's moments where I feel like, yes, it did go in a blink, but I was in it. I was in those hard moments too. And I remember them. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad I do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so I think that's really at the core of a lot of this.
Yeah, you don't want to. I feel like my kids are still pretty little, but I even have those moments where I'm like, I wish I had better boundaries when Sebastian was super early, like super young and like,
but it's okay, right? Like
I was like, I was in the fight.
And you have to do what you have to do to survive too. Like I remember so many nights breastfeeding and up all night, right? And scrolling through my phone, right?
Yeah.
Would I have loved to just put everything away and focus on those beautiful moments of breastfeeding my newborn? And no, I was also like reading an article and trying to read about parenting.
How many
and
hours do they need to sleep? Yeah. How many times do they need to feed? How many wet diapers?
Wait, what? Yeah. How long does this last? Is it supposed to hurt? Like what is happening?
Yeah.
Right? So it's a balance too, and figuring out your edges. But within those moments, you can gain back so much if you're intentional about where you place your attention.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's such a needed conversation, and it's just thought-provoking around like how you can have better boundaries and do a better job focusing in the present. Because you just want to be able to tell them all the funny stories of when they were growing up, or remember what it felt like to be on the book tour, or, on my first segment. Like I'm like, it's like a blink and a blur where you want to just actually be in that moment and be like, wow, that hard work really, it's paying off, or I should be proud about this. I should I have a hard time with that. I just kind of move to the next and talk about distracted and unfocused. I'm like, great, that was fun. What's next?
That's interesting. It's almost like I work with some folks who just can't bring themselves to really enjoy the joy, or like the actual accomplishment.
Yeah.
They feel like they always have to be pushing.
Yeah.
So it's like practicing that muscle.
Yeah.
And working on that too. But I do have to say that you can do all the things in the world to improve focus and attention. But if you're not going back to the fundamental things that we need as human beings to sustain focus, which is sleep, which is hydration, which is nutrition, like those are sort of the basics that I always want to preface this work is like we can focus on our mental health and our emotional well-being, but if we're not doing those basic things, we will not get to where we want to be at all. We will be constantly still depleted. So many of my colleagues work with people who have significant attention issues. I mean, we all do, but some that are truly debilitating to their daily functioning. And they're on all the things and do all the things, but then they find out that they're really not drinking much water. And all of a sudden, hydration becomes the key to their sustained attention. Or sleep, for example. They integrate different sleep rituals, and they're like, wait a minute, I feel like a new human. Why hasn't this worked? That like I've been trying.
Mouth tape. It's my plug.
Face tape, mouth tape, this tape. I mean, it's like, what? But yeah, it's like just sometimes really, and I talk about this in the book too, it's like editing those basics, looking at what you're eating, how you're sleeping, how much you're drinking water, and caffeine and all of that matters. Cheers. It makes a huge difference.
And I know you detailed this out in the chapter of your book, but what are the basics that you think are like the non-negotiables for that when it comes to like how much sleep? What's your hit list?
For sleep, it's not even I think definitely a minimum of 7 hours is important because our brain actually cleans itself during sleep. It's such an important, fundamental, foundational thing. But it's about our sleep hygiene and the ritual before sleep that matters in terms of sleep. So turning off our devices, the blue lights, but also just the blue light. It's like how triggered is our brain? How much is it moving? If you find yourself thinking about all your different tasks before bed, get out of bed. At least don't do it in bed.
Yeah.
Because again, everything you practice is what you're going to start doing, right? Those are those connections, neurological connections that strengthen. So get out of bed if you're overthinking. Go to a desk. Even just sitting at a desk changes everything because you're like, okay, wait, these are actually tasks. This is not what I should be doing for sleep.
Yeah.
Right? So you're separating that. That's all really important. Creating little rituals that sustain sleep.
And then what about for nutrition?
Great. Nutrition, food is your fuel. It can, this, and it's like, but brain-wise, it's critical. So, I think one of the biggest things we're seeing now, and I know you talk about this all the time, but our microbiome is really connected to our mood and our focus. So focusing on those pro and prebiotics is really, really important. I think, antioxidants, we know to focus on that for our health, but also for our brain, just protecting us from that oxidative stress is really important. And I think, nutrition-wise, we know to eat the colors and a plethora of things, but I think, we really need to start treating ourselves as being worthy of our attention when it comes to what we put in our body. And that it has a direct effect on focus. I think, interestingly enough, caffeine is a tool for focus as well, but not overdoing it. And definitely stopping caffeine 6 hours before bedtime.
Okay.
To help with focus too. So those are kind of the key things that popped out during my deep dive into nutrition focus. I'm not a nutritionist, but so much was coming at me about nutrition that I thought, okay, I actually have to put a chapter about nutrition in the book because it's so critical, clearly.
Yeah.
We know this, but when it comes specifically to attention and nutrition, it's huge.
Yeah.
Interestingly. So
I think just in my personal life and in like the blood sugar science that I've studied and preached for so long, it's really like those crashes in energy from highly processed, ultra processed, sugar-laden foods. It's like feels great in the first 30, 90 minutes after having it, but then don't expect me to concentrate and be able to put thoughts together the next 90 minutes to 2 hours unless I have like a protein-based meal after and like rebalance, move my body, kind of get that under control because it's just totally dysregulating.
And that also is, it really upsets me with like the kids menus and the crisis that we have with our children in food, which I know you feel very passionately about, but like
Book 3.
Right? Thank you.
Yeah.
God. It's like the sugar at all the birthday it's
out of control.
It is out of control, and it's training our kids to seek this as a treat and as joy, and it's connecting it emotionally with joy.
Yeah.
And it's a huge, huge problem. I know nothing about your new book, but I'm excited because
you just nailed it.
Oh my gosh, yay. But it's such a huge problem.
I actually have a downloadable PDF on the book. It's if you search Sweet Deal on my website, it's a parent's pack. No sugar in schools, no sugar in sports, no sugar in sanctuaries. It basically like we just are incentivizing, bribing, and rewarding with sugar instead of celebrating with sugar. Like, think about a sports season. Like, why are we giving them a bag of 30 grams of high fructose corn syrup after a game? Like, I mean, I have adults who want to go to the gym and then go get themselves a Frappuccino because they're like, oh, I'm just getting a vanilla latte because I earned it. And I'm like, no. Like, we're dopamine rewarding with sugar because we were trained to do that as a child. And when did this start? It started as a participation award on the soccer field because we felt bad that some kid might not have had a great game. So let's get everybody a bag of treats. And then all the marketing companies, big food, got on board. And you're like, wait a second. So now, like, just in a blink from when we were kids and given like sun-kissed oranges to now, like, my kid getting a blue frosted donut covered in sprinkles at 9 a.m. after a baseball game at 4 years old when he only ran to first base once.
Nailed it.
Like, no.
Like, no, hard no. And so I feel very much the same about attention as you do sugar.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like a very similar metaphor that the companies have figured out that we can hijack our brain with dopamine and literally steal our attention and focus for their benefit.
Yeah.
And now we're their pawns, and they're kind of, I mean, if you really think about it, like, we don't even know what we like anymore because they're feeding us everything.
Yeah.
And it's like an algorithm, essentially, what we think we're clicking on because we like what it looks, but do we really? Like, is it really our choice? It's not our choice. So it's like, if you can get deep into the stuff, but the sugar stuff is huge. And I'm so thrilled. I could not be more thrilled because it's also like, I have the only kids who aren't really like, they're not gifted sugar for treats in that way. And it's like, I want to normalize it, but I don't want to incentive, and it's hard because they're looking at everyone else similarly to devices. My son is one of the only ones who doesn't have a phone in middle school.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard because he's at the bus stop and every single person's stuck in their phone and he's not. So we've had to have lots of conversations about that. And he's okay with it because he understands the brain science and he's that kind of kid.
Yeah.
But my daughter is probably not going to be as simple, right? So it's like everyone's really talking about, I'm 11 and I need a phone yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, but that's about belonging.
Yeah.
So then we have to tease away the layers. Like, it's like the kids want to belong.
Yeah.
That's how the cigarette companies got, like, they're high. It's the belonging with the teens.
Right.
Everyone was smoking. They wanted to belong, so they did too. Similar, I'm not equating cigarettes to phones, sort of am, but
yeah. I mean, I get it.
It's like it hijacks similar parts of the brain. And so it's the new belonging.
Right. And that's why, I mean, like.
And that's with sugar.
Yeah. The parents are like, well, I'm not going to tell my one kid on the baseball team that he can't have the donut when this is what that mom brought for thing. And I'm not going to shame that mom for bringing the donuts, but I'm just frustrated that this whole,
it's become
like a whole
language.
Cultural
it's
norm.
Cultural. Yeah, it's
like
cultural.
This should not be a norm.
No.
Like, we should go to Gigi's house and learn how to make her gingerbread cookies at Christmas because that's a moment of connection and celebration for a holiday, not because we're rewarding someone for.
Preach.
Yeah. I get fired up.
Like,
clearly, I'm like, I can't get it out fast enough.
Shout it on the rooftops. But yeah, that's how I feel about attention. But yes, I mean, I get it and I'm in it and I see it and it's wild.
Yeah.
It's wildly unacceptable.
Yeah.
We're poisoning our kids, truly.
Yeah.
But anyway, we digress.
You're doing, like, thank goodness for your focus book because I like feel like I have a mission and I like, and getting to that place where you're like focusing and then not thinking like, oh shoot, he needs a red shirt for Friday because they get to wear red shirts on Friday. And then I'm on Amazon buying a red shirt being like, no, I need to be writing this book, you know?
Yeah, but he also needs the red shirt.
Yeah, so I need the dump.
Yeah. Dump the red shirt, still get it done, but just do it on your own time where you don't feel like that task is owning you. You're owning the task.
Yeah.
You're making a choice.
That's honestly why I love this thing. Cause I'm like, well, I never like Google and shop and search on this thing. It's just literally like a place to write. So
that's perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Or like read, but I'm not going to like leave writing a book to go read someone else's book at that moment in time. So, Z.
So much.
It's so good to see you. I'm so excited for your book.
Thank you.
It's awesome. I'm so happy to see you just like moving through your grief and landing on your feet and like being such a strong example for your kids. That was like all the words you wrote, and I'm going to link some of my favorites in the show notes, were like so moving to so many of us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate your
I love you. Where can people find you? Where can they follow along? Where can they buy the book?
So buy the book anywhere books are sold. My website has a ton of free resources, and I'll be rolling out some more fun stuff in the days to come at drzelana.com, drzelana.com. And then my Instagram community is a really beautiful space where hopefully I'm just giving words to things we don't really like to talk about.
Yeah.
So definitely join that as well. dr.zelana. And that's probably the biggest ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're such a good follow.
Thank you. I
Thanks
appreciate
for
that so much.
sharing your heart in a place where it's like very fast. And
yeah, I'm trying. I'm like, hey.
Like, they're just like, how can I go viral? You're like, you're bringing the depth. And we really need that today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That means everything to me.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Be Well by Kelly Levesque podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review in your favorite podcast app and subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. We're also excited to share that full-length video episodes are now on YouTube and Spotify, so you can watch along as you listen. The best way to support me and the show is by sharing it with your friends and family. Your recommendations make all the difference. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson. The video is recorded by Luke Rodriguez and edited by Jesse Trout. Sound mixing is by Mike Fry. See you next time.
The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical or mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or healthcare team first. Shout out to the Newport Beach Pendry for hosting us. I'm so grateful to record in such a beautiful space that truly elevates the podcast experience for myself and my guests. From the stunning design to their incredible hospitality, it's a perfect setting for meaningful conversations and creative energy. Hey, thanks, Pendry.